You're not going to be allowed to drive anymore because you can't be trusted to drink and to drink and not drive. Court is calling 2021 CR 9151, State of Texas versus Carlos Landon. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state,
Daniel Escobar for the state of Texas.
for the defense?
Tim Roundtree.
And are you Carlos Landon?
Yes, ma'am.
En español, señor.
Yes.
En español.
Sí, señor.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Landon, this is the way it works when I have an interpreter come down. Either we're going to use the interpreter or we're not going to use the interpreter. So if you want the interpreter here, then you need to answer in Spanish and the interpreter will interpret. If you do not wish to have the interpreter here, then we will proceed without the interpreter. So do you wish to proceed with or without the interpreter?
With the interpreter.
All right, if we're going to have the interpreter, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Arlene Abrams, license number 2081.
Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections to the PSI report state?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
We have no objection, but we will have a slight correction.
All right. And were you able, defense, to review the PSI report with your client in Spanish?
We did that last time, Judge, yes.
Okay. All right. According to the plea bargain agreement, the defendant entered a plea to count 1. Punishment is to be assessed at 5 years in the prison. The state is opposing your application. And there's restitution to Raymond Montez and Leanne Dominguez. Are there any witnesses, state?
No, Your Honor. We previously had held this PSI, I think, with Judge Angelini, and they were present, but they chose not to appear today.
All right. Defense, any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, I would call Olympia Landon.
All right. Landon?
Yes. Olympia Landon.
Olympia Landon. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record, please.
Olympia Landon,
All right, defense?
Landon, how old are you?
31 years old.
How are you related to Carlos Landon?
He is my uncle.
Have you known him most of your life?
Yes, in my life.
Do you live here in San Antonio?
Yes, I do.
And how many brothers does Carlos have?
4 brothers?
4?
Oh, no, 5, sorry.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. And where did they grow up?
And they were first in the city of Mexico, like the capital. And then my grandma had to move after my grandfather passed away to Dolores Hidalgo, Guanajuato, which is where they spent more of their time living there.
And are you nervous?
Yes, I'm very nervous.
Okay. If I ask you a question that you don't understand, or if anyone does, will you make sure to let us know?
Yeah.
And if you feel like you misspeak and you need to correct, will you let us know?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. All right. Let me back up. What do you do for a living?
I help my father manage his company, administrative manager.
And what kind of company is it?
It's a painting company.
Okay. And your uncle Carlos also has a painting company as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, but you don't work with him.
No, I don't.
All right. So, would you tell us, did Carlos have an easy childhood?
None of my aunts and uncles had an easy childhood. My grandmother used her limited resources to raise them. They were very poor. So she was what you would call nowadays abusive with punishment.
Mm-hmm. And were there, you're aware of that abuse. You've heard the stories of it. You're aware of it, correct?
Yes, every time the family gets together, they talk about the type of abuse they went through and what they had to do.
All right, excuse me. I'm going to need you all to be quiet in the box. We're on the record. You may continue.
Okay. So I'll ask you a few more questions about that, but let me back up. Growing up, they were so poor
Your Honor, I'm gonna object. She wasn't there. This is all hearsay.
All right, that'll be sustained.
You have heard all of those stories, correct? I won't ask you the specifics, but you have heard those stories, correct?
Yes, many times.
And do you have any opinion based on the information that you have as to whether or not Carlos was abused physically by his uncles?
And I'm gonna object again to hearsay.
Sustained.
Without stating what anyone said, do you have an opinion as to whether or not they were abused?
I'm gonna object to relevance. She wasn't there.
All right, that'll be sustained. Okay,
Judge,
the
if I
court,
could-
here's the thing. The court is aware that he had a rough childhood. The court is aware that maybe that childhood, there was some abuse. So the court is aware of all of that. And the court is aware that he grew up very poor. Is that what people are trying to tell me?
I wanted to give you a little more detail than that, Judge, but basically, yes.
Okay.
Yes, basically, yes. So, Olympia. You've observed Carlos's and on his brothers, all abuse of alcohol, correct?
Yes,
And that was something that you observed over years, correct?
yes,
And at the time of this accident, back in January of 2021.
All right, could everyone please whisper? We're on the record and it's a little bit difficult for the court reporter because we're dealing with an interpreter and people whispering. So if the people who are on the record, if you could talk as loud as the people who are not on the record, that would be greatly appreciated.
We will definitely try, Judge.
All right, thank
All
you.
right. So when this happened, when Carlos had this accident, he was going through some particular struggles, right, with his family,
yes,
and that was impacting his business.
yes,
And you observed him have difficulties with his sons who worked in his business, correct?
yes,
You personally observed that,
yes,
and they were giving him great difficulty, but he depended upon them for the business, correct?
yes,
To do the painting work.
yes,
Okay. And do you believe that that was kind of an ongoing factor that contributed to his abuse of alcohol?
yes,
Okay. Since this accident, you're aware that Carlos has become involved in AA.
yes, I am.
And do you, well, first of all, you've observed him now when the family gets together, correct?
Yes, I see them. I'm there. I see him.
Yes,
Okay.
and where maybe your dad and the other brothers are drinking, what is Carlos doing?
He just has a bottle of water or a soda or something in his hand.
Does he seem different now than he did prior to becoming involved in AA?
Yes, I noticed that he is much more calm or he's still involved, he's still there, he's still present. The alcohol is not a factor.
Okay. And when we met and we talked last month, you let me know that the types of conversations you guys have are more about serious things now, correct?
Yes,
It used to be on surface levels, correct?
yeah, just kind of surface, not really a deeper bond or relationship. And now I feel like the things that he talks about in his AA meetings, he tries to bring it into conversations that I like to have because, I like the journey and the path that he's on. And I like the advice that is being given to him that he's passing on some of that knowledge to me.
Okay. And you've studied a little bit of psychology, a little bit of, is that right, counseling?
Yeah.
Psychology?
Yeah.
And
And children.
in children, okay. And that's obviously not your job,
No.
but do you believe that AA has been helpful to Carlos?
Yes, I do. Tremendously.
How do you think it helps him?
I think it helps him finally have some type of counseling to talk about all his childhood trauma that we've mentioned.
What are you asking Judge Boyd to do?
To please give my uncle probation and let him continue his path to better himself.
Based on knowing him, do you believe that he has made some true changes in his life?
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to tell the judge?
No, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, state.
Ma'am, would it surprise you that when asked for his version of what happened, your uncle stated that he had had a party for his employees to celebrate that they had done so well with business that year?
No.
So I know you testified that he was struggling with the business.
I think the correction is that he was struggling with his son's behavior and responsibility with the business. Instead of helping him, all the load is put on him.
But it was still successful.
Yes.
And you are aware that he has been previously convicted of a prior DWI offense.
I don't know too much about it, but yes, I'm aware.
Nothing further comes to the judge.
All right, anything else from this witness?
No, Your Honor, unless the court has questions.
No further questions. Thank you. All right, defense, any other witnesses?
Yes, Judge. I would call Carlos Castro.
Carlos Castro.
And judge, the witness also doesn't speak English, so.
Okay, thank you. All right. Can you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand. If you can state your name for the record.
Carlos Castro.
Carlos Castro,
All right, defense.
Carlos, where do you live?
Aquí en la ciudad de San Antonio,
here in the city of San Antonio,
How long have you lived here?
por los últimos 30 años,
for the last 30 years,
And what kind of work do you do?
construcción.
construction.
You know Carlos Landon, correct?
Sí,
Yes,
How long have you known him?
por los últimos 19 meses.
for the last 19 months.
How did you meet him?
En un programa de recuperación de alcohólicos anónimos.
In the recovery program for AA.
Now, how long have you been a part of AA?
18 años.
18 years.
And are you a leader in AA?
Soy miembro del grupo.
Yes, I'm a member of the group.
So, I mean, you're not any kind of a organizer of meetings.
Bueno, sí participo en las responsabilidades del grupo.
Yes, I do participate in those responsibilities.
Does the entire group share those responsibilities?
Sí,
Yes,
todos.
all of us.
Okay. Why do you go to AA?
Bueno, primero porque encontré la ayuda a mi problema.
Well, first of all, because I found the help for my problem.
Y segundo, porque encontré una vida diferente.
And second, because I have found a different life.
You've not been like convicted of DWI or arrested for DWI, correct?
Sí,
Yes.
So yes, you have never been in trouble for DWI or anything like that.
sí,
Yes.
So you went to AA because you wanted to change your life. You recognized that many years ago, 20 years ago almost, that you needed to change.
Sí, por supuesto, yo sabía que tenía un problema.
Yes, of course, I knew I had a problem.
And when you see people in AA who change, is that because they, first of all, recognize they need to change?
Sí, ese es uno de los principales iniciativas de reconocer que necesitan el cambio.
Yes, that's one of the very main things that you need to recognize that you have a problem.
And does that recognition come at different points of people's lives?
Llega en diferentes momentos de la vida de las gentes.
Sí, en diferentes momentos.
Yes, at different times.
Sometimes a person might be young, sometimes they might be old.
Sí, la edad muchas veces no interfiere, pues depende la situación de
Yes,
la persona.
sometimes the age doesn't really interfere, mainly is the situation the person is going through.
And in this case, you've gotten to know Carlos over the last 19 months. Do you believe that he is at that point where he both knows and wants to change?
Está en el punto de cambio.
Yes, he's at that stage of the change.
And is it fair to say that you've seen people come and go in AA?
Sí, sí lo he visto.
Yes, yes, I've seen that, yes.
And so have you developed an ability to kind of determine when people are serious about making those changes or when they're maybe there for other reasons?
Por mi experiencia, casi después de los 90 días de asistencia, el individuo se ve la motivación real de quedarse.
For my experience, if someone has been there for over 90 days, you can really tell that the reason why they're there.
And you've gotten to know Carlos. What do you guys talk about?
¿Conoce a Carlos? ¿De qué hablan cuando?
Bueno, hablamos de nuestro problema común que fue anterior
We talk
sobre
about
la bebida.
our common problem that we had before about drinking.
Y también hablamos de los problemas de la vida cotidiana personales.
And we also talk about the daily life issues or problems.
Does Carlos participate in that willingly?
Sí, es muy participativo con nosotros.
Yes, he participates a lot with us.
Does he talk about his personal life?
Sí, sí habla sobre
Yes.
su problema.
He does talk about that.
And so based on all your time with Carlos, I mean, how much time do y'all spend together?
Convivimos a diario hora y media en el lugar de la reunión y después tenemos una conversación de 15 a 20 minutos, terminada la reunión.
Every time we get together for the
Tenemos,
meeting, we spend there an hour and a half and then 30 minutes talking.
y tenemos conversaciones telefónicas a diario
And we talk
durante el día.
over the phone every day during the day.
And about how many meetings a week on average do you think that Carlos are attending together?
5 a 6.
From 5 to 6.
So you have 5 to 6 potential times that you get together, as well as talk on the phone every day.
Sí, hay una hermandad
Yeah.
en la relación.
There's a fraternity, the relationship, yes.
A brotherhood in many ways.
Sí, hermandad significa de amigos,
Yeah, brothership
buena
means
relación.
friendship, having a good relationship.
Okay. And I don't expect you to remember every time Carlos is there, but you're saying that he's been there the majority of the time.
Sí,
Yes,
Okay. Has Carlos helped other people in AA?
sí.
yes.
How?
Bueno, primero a través de su experiencia
So first, through his experience,
y también ayuda en las tareas que tenemos allí para servir a los demás.
And he also assists in the stores that we have there, assisting other people.
And so when you say that he helps through his experience, do you mean that in sharing what has gone on in his life, what he did, things like that?
Sí, más que nada la experiencia como prevención hacia otros
Yes, more than
para
anything,
que
the
no pasen por
experience,
lo que él pasó.
so others don't go through what he went through.
Has Carlos expressed any remorse or anything about the fact that he drove while intoxicated and hurt another person?
Sí, un arrepentimiento muy profundo. Yo lo he
Yes, a very
escuchado.
profound remorse, yes.
What are you asking Judge Boyd to do?
Bueno, pues que se haga lo que la ley marca, como lo dice la ley,
So to do what the law states, what the law says.
The judge has the ability to place Carlos on probation. Do you believe that Carlos would do everything the court or the law requires of him?
en este momento puedo decir que sí.
Yes, at this time, I can say yes.
Do you have any hesitation about that?
Duda, ¿tiene alguna duda?
No tengo ninguna duda, pero hablo lo que está el hoy.
No, I don't have any doubts, no hesitation, but I'm speaking for today.
I'll pass on this, Judge.
State any questions?
Nothing from the state, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Gracias, señor.
Any other witnesses?
Published in
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Sorry, Your Honor.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Carlos Andín.
Carlos Landín.
All right, defense.
Carlos, how old are you?
52 años.
52 years.
You're a painter?
Sí.
And you are a painter?
Sí.
Yes,
And you were in agreement to have a translator, but truthfully, I'm the one that requested the translator, correct?
Sí.
yes,
And it is helpful, correct?
ayuda, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Yes.
Carlos. On the night of this accident, when you drove while intoxicated and had an accident and you caused serious bodily injury, what was the reason you initially, I guess, called that meeting or went to that restaurant?
Este año nos había ido bien en nuestros trabajos y hacer una pequeña celebración.
Because we wanted to do kind of like a small celebration because it was a good year at work. We did good.
But though it was financially a good year, it was a difficult year with your sons, correct?
Sí.
Yes,
And there were many pressures, business pressures as well as family pressures on you.
yes,
And you were also having difficulty between you and your wife, correct?
Sí.
yes,
And so on the night when you went to that restaurant, you in fact had a fight with your wife about your sons, correct?
Sí.
yes,
And we're not telling the judge that that excuses anything, correct?
Correcto.
exactly, that's right.
But we do want the judge to understand what was going on.
Sí.
Yes,
So what should have been a celebration turned into you bearing your problems with alcohol, correct?
Sí.
yes,
You grew up in Mexico.
Yes.
Yes,
The judge knows that you had a rough childhood, but I mean, it involves you working long hours in a ceramic factory, correct?
yes,
And about how old were you when you would work there?
Tenía 7 años.
I was 7 years old.
And in addition, your uncles were physically abusive to you,
Sí.
Yes,
such to the degree that you actually ran away from home once.
Sí.
yes,
But you did learn how to paint, correct?
Sí.
yes.
And so when you came to America, that's the business that you started.
Sí.
Yes,
And how many people do you employ now?
Ah, 7.
7.
That includes your sons.
No.
No,
Have you always struggled with alcohol?
Sí.
yes,
So, since this accident, you joined AA almost right away, correct?
Sí.
yes.
And why did you originally go?
Porque después de mi accidente me sentí muy mal de la manera como fue.
Because after the accident, I felt pretty bad because of what happened.
Y pensé que esa es la manera más correcta de lidiar con el problema.
And I thought that that was the best way to deal with the problem.
And as you continue to go to AA, what happened?
El programa me empezó a gustar
I started liking the program
y empecé a ver un cambio en mí
and I started seeing a change in me.
y por eso me quedé.
That's why I stayed.
And what kind of change?
Eh, pues era muy agresivo.
I used to be very aggressive
ah, con las palabras, agresivamente.
with my words, very aggressive words.
Y pues también en la casa, no atendía en la casa, no quería llegar para tener problemas,
And
causar problemas.
also at home, I didn't want to go home because I had to deal with problems.
And so, as a part of AA, how did you realize you were dealing with your problems?
Porque ya no los problemas que tengo, ya no eran agresivos, ya podía contestar algo que antes no podía contestar.
Because well, now dealing with the problems and confronting the problem that I have, I can answer something that I couldn't do before.
So, I asked you when we talked, how did you know AA was helping you? And you told me about how things changed now that work is over. How have things changed?
Cuando yo salía de trabajo, en vez de irme para mi casa, me iba directamente a la tienda y compraba alcohol.
When I used to leave work at the end of a working day, instead of going home, I will go to the store and buy alcohol.
Y ahora en día, y para regresar a casa. Pero ahora en día no hago eso.
But nowadays, I don't do that.
De trabajo en la casa.
From work, I go home.
And about how often are you going to AA?
Casi todos los días.
Almost every day.
And that's been for pretty much the entire almost 2 years.
Sí.
Yes.
Has that helped you learn how to understand the conflicts you have with work and family and deal with it?
Yes,
What's the main way that you deal with it? What is the main way that you deal with these problems now?
Pues porque hoy en día los del trabajo me voy a la casa, de la casa me voy al programa.
because nowadays from work I go home and from home I go to the program.
And when you're at the program, what do you talk about?
Personalmente hablo de mi vida personal, de lo que me pasó.
I talk personally, I
No
talk about my
quisiera que
personal
a
life.
alguien más le pasó.
About my personal life, what happened to me, and that I don't like anybody to go through the same thing.
And other than this offense, this crime, do you talk about other problems, family problems, work problems, other things?
Sí, hablo de mi problema personal
Yes, I talk about my personal problems
antes y después del accidente.
before and after the accident.
So you share your life with other people.
Sí, para que le llegue el mensaje a las demás personas.
Yes, so that this message can reach other people.
Does that help you stay sober?
Sí,
Yes.
Have you had anything to drink since starting AA?
no,
No,
If the judge were to place you on probation, are you willing to do any and everything that is asked of you?
sí,
yes,
In the PSI itself, I think there was a statement that you were ready and more than willing to go to any treatment that an expert recommends, correct?
sí.
Including the judge.
yes.
Y viendo después.
All right, I'm gonna need y'all to be quiet in the box because the court reporter won't be able to hear.
Okay, apologize, Judge. I'll try to talk louder. However, you do believe that AA has been very helpful to you.
Sí,
Yes,
And if, in your opinion, you would think that continuing AA would allow you to continue this change in your life.
sí.
yes,
But if an expert or the court thought differently, you're more than willing to do that.
Puede que sí.
yes, of course.
Carlos, if the family of the person that you hurt or the young man that's here, what would you tell them?
Que me siento muy mal del día del accidente.
That I feel very bad, the day of the accident.
Si pudiera cambiar esto, lo cambiaría, pero como no puedo.
And if I could change this, I would,
Estoy muy arrepentido.
and that I'm very remorseful.
If the court places you on probation and there is restitution outstanding, are you going to do everything you can to pay it?
Sí,
Yes,
What are you asking Judge Boyd to do? Carlos, what are you asking the judge to do?
que me dé una oportunidad para demostrar que puedo cambiar.
to give me an opportunity to show her that I can change.
Gracias.
Thank you.
I'll pass it to the judge.
Any questions, State?
Just a few, Your Honor. So, Mr. Landon, this wasn't your first alcohol-related offense, was it?
No, that's one of the.
No, the second.
Okay, and you were placed on probation back in 2013, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wouldn't that have served as a good time for a wake-up call?
Yes.
And did you change after that?
Sí, un poco.
Yes, I did change a little bit.
At the time of the accident, would you go out and drink with your friends often?
No.
But you did tell an officer,
No,
but you did tell an officer that on this occasion, you didn't drink any more or any less than what you do with your friends normally.
right.
So you did go out and drink with your friends.
No.
No,
So were you lying to the officers then, or what happened here?
Cuando el oficial me preguntó, yo estaba intoxicado y no me preguntó.
the officer asked me if I was intoxicated.
El oficial me preguntó cuando yo estaba intoxicado.
Well, the officer asked me when I was intoxicated.
Okay. Do you use any type of ride services?
I'm sorry.
Any type of ride services like Uber?
¿Usted usa algún tipo de servicio que le den como Uber?
Hoy en día sí,
No, nowadays, yes, I do,
But not back then.
pero no antes.
pero no.
No, not back then.
And you do realize that the complainants were very seriously injured here.
Sí,
Yes.
And you heard them the last time we were here describe their injuries.
Well, actually, Mr. Escobar, because you weren't there, they, only the mom testified, the victim.
Okay, so you heard about the mother testify about the son's injuries, correct? Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So you were here when the victim's mother spoke about his injuries, correct?
sí,
Yes.
And you would agree that his life was pretty changed from after this accident, correct?
sí.
Yes.
Pass against Joe.
Any other questions?
No, Judge.
Any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right, so Mr. Landon, you have a choice. Either way, you're not leaving court today. So the range of punishment for this offense is up to 10 years in prison. You bargained for 5 years. So I can grant you probation, but your probation is going to be for 10 years. You're going into inpatient treatment. You'll be going to SafeP. I don't know what the waiting time is on that, but I do know that's a 6 months program inpatient and then 3 months outpatient. You're not going to be allowed to drive anymore because you can't be trusted to drink and to drink and not drive. So the choice is yours. Do you want the 5 years probation, the 5 years prison, or do you want to go into inpatient treatment? But either way, you're not leaving the courtroom today.
Your Honor, can I speak with my client?
Sure.
Briefly? I don't think we need long.
Okay. Counsel, do you need to discuss that with him more? Because I'll take up another matter.
That's fine, Judge. We can do that. I think he knows what he's gonna do, but he just wanted to tell us and disrupt it.
Okay. So we're back on the record in 2021 CR 9151, State of Texas versus Carlos Landon, and we have an interpreter here. If you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm you will faithfully translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Carmen Tarragona Nazais.
All right. And so we are here resuming this hearing. The court asked the defendant if he wanted to be placed on probation, but he will be going into custody for inpatient treatment, or either the court could sentence you to the 5 years prison.
Your Honor, my client would like probation.
Is that correct, Mr. Landon?
Yes.
All right, then this is what the court will do. The court is going to sentence you to 10 years in the prison.
Your Honor,
I'm sorry, just 1 second. 5 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 10 years. There's to be 30 days in the Bexar County Jail as a condition of probation. There's to be ignition interlock for the duration of probation on any vehicle that the defendant has access to. There's to be no driving for the duration of probation. And we'll do the mobile device for testing, DWI education, VIP live, 2-year Texas driver's license suspension, Safe P. And once he, do a referral to felony drug court and let felony drug court know that he's going to Safe P first unless they accept him and they want him to do something other than Safe P. I'm going to want field visits upon release 2 times per month until further notice, regular UAs, regular reporting in person or by Zoom, proof of employment within 30 days of release, no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. Is there any, and there's to be restitution, if any, to Raymond Montez and Leanne Dominguez. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Mr. Landon, is there anything else you need from the court?
No.
Showing you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes.
And because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. Mr. Landon, so the reason the court gave you this probation is because honestly, you would go to prison for 5 years. Maybe you'd serve 3, get out. And what would end up happening is you would continue to drink alcohol. So all those things that your attorney was telling me about your childhood, all those things about your upbringing, all those things about you've changed and you no longer drink alcohol, you need to hold fast to that when you're released from inpatient treatment. Do you understand?
Yes.
And how old are you?
52.
All right, at some point, the way we were raised, maybe our parents treated us badly. Maybe our parents were not the hip parents. Maybe our parents didn't know about discipline. At some point, you can no longer blame your actions for your parents. My grandmother always said that every tub has to sit on its own bottom. So it's time for you to do that. You understand? All right, good luck to you.